when you're dealing with a federal party that has candidates now in almost every riding, to deny the leader a platform to speak, it's fundamentally undemocratic. When you look around the room and the only media here is what some might call alternative media and no mainstream media, the same mainstream media that's funded by the government, you realize the games that are being played, and they are fundamentally undemocratic games.
So, exactly, and when we think that the Bloc Québécois are invited to the debate, but not the PPC, what do you think about that?
But the Bloc Québécois, they're in their constitution, they're just having candidates in Quebec, and they're at 6%. But the most important for me is not the Bloc Québécois, it's the Green Party of Canada. They're at 4% right now, or maybe a little bit less, and they're there. After 38 years, the Green Party of Canada, on average, if you look at the historic polls, they are on around 4, 5, or 6%. And us, after 3 years, we are there right now today at 6%. So we are growing. It's something special that we are able to grow without the visibility that the mainstream media is not giving us. We don't have that visibility, but we are growing. I think a lot of Canadians are very tired or fed up of the mainstream media, and they're looking for the news with alternative and independent media like your media. So I want to thank you and thank the independent media for the job that you're doing.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
So today I'm going to the Best Western in Montreal because Maxime Bernier will give a press conference to show all his candidates for Montreal. I have a couple of questions for him, especially about the fact that he had been refused for the debate of the chef. And I'm really curious to know what he will answer to me about this fact. So let's see what he have to say to me.
So before starting, I will ask our candidates to present themselves with their riding. And I can tell you that we will have a full slate of candidates in Quebec. And we have right now 318 candidates that has been approved by the party. So more than the Green Party of Canada and more than the NDP. So it's going very well, and I'm very happy. We want to give the opportunity to every Canadian to be able to vote for their values, to be able to vote for the People's Party of Canada. Maintenant, on va commencer par ici, allez-y.
Monsieur Aubé, Thérèse de Blainville, fier de représenter la circonscription de Thérèse de Blainville.
Merci.
Mathieu Couture, Laval-les-Îles. Merci beaucoup, Maxime, pour cette chance.
Merci.
Jeff Benoît, Chaligé-Lacolle.
Richard Evanco, Laurentide-Labelle, deuxième campagne pour M. Maxime Bernier.
David Frei, l'avocat devenu YouTuber pour le riding de Notre-Dame-de-Grâce et Westmount.
Michael Patterson, candidat pour Dorval, la Chine de la Salle.
Wow.
Daniel Tremblay, candidat pour le comté de Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
Julie Saint-Gelais pour le comté de Repentigny.
Michel Loire, La Salle est mort perdant.
Pierre Fondolard.
Gregory Bono, Beach
Jonathan Desclans, de Pointe-de-Ville.
Yann Ravenshire de Rivière-du-Nord.
Ruth Fontaine de la Prairie. Akia Lassie, Lac-Saint-Louis.
Lucilia Miranda, je suis candidate à Honoré-Mercier.
Michel Lavoie, Bourassa.
Louis Léger, Marc-Aurèle Fortin, à Laval.
Sylvain Parizeau, Saint-Hyacinthe-Négoce.
Manon Chevalier, Antique-Cartierville.
Maxime Bernier-Beauce. Canada's public finances are in a disastrous state. Under the Trudeau Liberals, spending, deficits, and the national debt are exploding. Justin Trudeau exploited the COVID crisis to create a whole series of expensive new programs and permanently increase the size of government. In 2020 and 2021, the Liberals recorded a $354 billion deficit, and Canada's net debt surpassed $1 trillion for the first time. All the other establishment political parties supported the Liberals' massive spending, and none of them is committed to reducing the size of government. This is irresponsible. When another recession hits or interest rates start to rise, the federal government will be in a precarious fiscal situation, and could lose control of its finances. Instead of buying votes with borrowed money, a responsible government should aggressively cut spending, balance the budget as quickly as possible, and then lower taxes in a prudent manner to put money back into Canadians' pockets. A People's Party government will phase out all COVID spending programs and reverse new programs announced by the Trudeau government. Get rid of the deficit by the end of a first mandate through spending cuts and fiscal prudence. And cut personal income taxes, corporate taxes, and abolish the personal capital gains tax after the deficit has been eliminated, as the fiscal room is found to allow it. So thank you very much, and I think the main message of today, contrary to Erin O'Toole and Justin Trudeau, we will balance the budget in one mandate. Trudeau and O'Toole won't do that. They are saying that, for the next 10 years, we'll have huge deficit. And actually, that we are paying for that right now by the Trudeau's inflation tax. If you do your grocery, there's about 4 or 5% inflation there. That's a hidden tax. And we will pay with higher taxes in the near future. We need to be responsible. We need to be able to balance the budget. And all our tax cuts will be real after the deficit will be balanced, so after a first mandate of a People's Party government. If you have any questions, I'll be pleased to answer it. And I just want to thank also the mainstream media that they were invited to this press conference, and like I said, they are canceling us, but we will be there, and we are the voice for Canadians. I believe that Canadians must have a real choice during this campaign, and the PPC is their only choice. So I count on our candidates to travel in their ridings and meeting more people. That's our way to be sure that Canadians know that the PPC exists and there's a real alternative against these establishment and elite political parties.
So first of all, how did you react when they actually say that you are not allowed to go to the debate, and do you have any action plan to fight against it?
The action plan is to travel across the country, meet Canadians. I'm very disappointed. That's the cartel, the media and establishment political parties cartel. A cartel is people that are together and don't want to have any competition. They don't want to have the PPC competition. They don't want to have that battle of ideas, that debate, a real debate. And it's too bad because Canadians won't be able to have a real debate. It will be a conversation. All these establishment political parties are on the same on a lot of issues that are very important for the future of this country. Actually, the way that they did it, I'm not a lawyer, David is one, but the way that they did it, they said that they will take a couple of polls, and they took 9 polls, and one of them put us at 0.9%. It's a little bit bizarre because our score at the last election was 1.6. So that poll was below the score that we had at the last election. And actually, at the same time, out there, they did 12 polls, and they only took 9, and our average was 3.27% or something like that. I know I'm disappointed, but we must concentrate our efforts to win that political battle, and we are doing that right now. Maybe, David, you can...
I'll do it in English?
Yeah.
Well, okay. There is an old expression, Benjamin Disraeli, there are 3 types of lies: damn lies, and statistics. Everybody knows how polls can be manipulated, both in the way they ask the question, the ordering of the question to achieve a desired result. When you find out that the Leaders Debates Commission didn't actually take all of the polls that they even conducted from their reputable pollsters, but only a select 9 of either 12 or 15, you can see what they might have excluded in order to achieve a certain desired result. But like Maxime said, one poll Ipsos had the PPC at 0.7%, not 0.9, which is less than half. of what we actually achieved in 2018. So to say it doesn't make sense might be an understatement. When you're dealing with a federal party that has candidates now in almost every riding, to deny the leader a platform to speak, it's fundamentally undemocratic. When you look around the room and the only media here is what some might call alternative media and no mainstream media, the same mainstream media that's funded by the government, you realize the games that are being played, and they are fundamentally undemocratic games.
So, exactly, and when we think that the Bloc Québécois are invited to the debate, but not the PPC, what do you think about that?
But the Bloc Québécois, they're in their constitution, they're just having candidates in Quebec, and they're at 6%. But the most important for me is not the Bloc Québécois, it's the Green Party of Canada. They're at 4% right now, or maybe a little bit less, and they're there. After 38 years, the Green Party of Canada, on average, if you look at the historic polls, they are on around 4, 5, or 6%. And us, after 3 years, we are there right now today at 6%. So we are growing. It won't take 28 years to grow. This party is growing. We will have a lot of support at this campaign. And I hope that after that, the mainstream media will actually cover us. It's something special that we are able to grow without the visibility that the mainstream media is not giving us. We don't have that visibility, but we are growing. I think a lot of Canadians are very tired or fed up of the mainstream media, and they're looking for the news with alternative and independent media like your media. So I want to thank you and thank the independent media for the job that you're doing.
And especially, why do you think the mainstream media don't want to give you visibility?
But it's a cartel, like I said, the cartel of the establishment politicians and the mainstream media. They don't want any competition. They don't want us. They try to ignore us. They don't like what we are saying. Just on COVID-19, we are speaking about the truth based on science and on facts, and they don't like that. We want to push a vaccine passport everywhere in this country. You won't be allowed to travel in Canada if you don't have the 2 shots of the vaccine. That's not a democratic country. That's unconstitutional, immoral, and we are fighting. We are the only political party in Canada that is fighting for our freedoms, and we don't want to live in a show me your papers society. That will be that for vaccinated people and unvaccinated people. They will have to show some paper. It's a communist country. We don't want that, and I believe more and more Canadians will be on our side on that.
I say the reason why the mainstream media does not want to shed light on the PPC is because people might actually like what they see. And so the game they're playing is there's divide and conquer, there's also ignore and demonize. And that's what the CBC, that's what CTV is doing, that is what the mainstream media is doing. Ignore the party so you can then demonize them, and people have not actually seen the message of the party or its members to know that the demonizing is fundamentally inaccurate and totally dishonest. When I went door to door, I'm ringing on doorbells, people are saying, oh, Maxime Bernier's party, you guys are anti-vaxxers and anti-climate. And I say, we're not anti-vaxxers. First of all, I'm fully vaccinated. Maxime respects my decision, I respect his. We're anti-vaccine passport, and the difference is monumental. But if you let the message get out there so that Canadians can actually see it, they might actually like it. And then the mainstream media, which is funded to the tune of $1 billion by the government, might be doing a disservice to the very people that fund their operations. On the provincial level, when the government is running $150 million in COVID ads on certain news outlets, they don't want to upset that government by giving a voice to its opposition. That's the game that's being played, and the great thing is that Rebel News, you guys get more views than the CBC on any given day of the week. You reach the people, and so they can do it. And so long as the people know the games that the mainstream media are playing, and they hear the message, they might actually figure out that they like it.
So as you can see, I had the chance to have an interview with Maxime Bernier and David Frei, that is the new candidate for the PPC here in Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. Surprisingly, I was the only media to cover the press conference. And as you know, media mainstream try to don't give visibility to Maxime Bernier and his party because he have another point of view of this situation right now. And as you know, it was being rejected for participate to the debate of the chef. As Maxime say, he will try to get a higher rate on the statistic to be able to participate to the debate. It was Alexa for Viva News. Election is coming up, but that means that we need to chase all the leaders all across Canada to bring you the other side of the story. So if you want to help us to fund our expense of traveling, please go to realreporter.ca and chip in to help us to fund our expense. And if you like our report, please like and share.